Say hi. I'm Dominic. And I'm mad because I need a nap. Alright, so the other day on Instagram, I put a poll on to see who would want to hear about our birth story. And so, okay. So, it all started on that Monday before I gave birth, which was 26th. I had contractions, but they weren't like super intense. So I went to go get checked, and then my contractions had stopped. But I was like, I'm already here, so why am I gonna leave? So I stayed, and they monitored Dom and his heartbeat. But so they sent me home, and then I had an appointment on Tuesday, and Tuesday again I went in again earlier in the day for contractions. But like I didn't know what I was looking for, like what I was feeling for or anything. So I went in again, and Brandon was at work because I felt bad that I had taken him out of work on Monday to make sure I wasn't in labor. So I told him, I'm like, just go to work, and that way, like, if I am in labor, you're like right across the street. So I went in by myself, and everything was fine again. And they offered to check me to see if I was dilated, but I refused because later on in the day, and I was like, why get checked when I could just get checked in my appointment? So I was like, whatever. So then my appointment comes around, and me and Brandon just kind of hung out on post because I get seen on, well, I was being seen on post. So it was time for my appointment, and then I went in, and my doctor was like, hey, saw you were at labor and delivery. I was like, yeah, I'm having contractions. And well, I wasn't sure if there were contractions. I'm really high, I have a really high pain tolerance, so I wasn't sure like if I was having contractions or not, because like my stomach was tightening, and I was like googling why is my stomach tightening, and it's like, bitch, you're pregnant and you're about to have a baby. So then so yeah, I went to get checked, and my doctor was like, okay, you're 3 centimeters dilated and 70% effaced. And she's like, do you want your membrane swept? And I was like, what is that? And then she's like, oh, it's like when you stick your fingers in and freaking irritate your cervix, and then I guess it like kind of helps you go into labor. So I was like, sure, I just want to have my baby here. So then we went home, and then I was fine. That day I was 39 weeks and 2 days. So I was almost 40 weeks. I was almost 10 months pregnant. So then later on that night, I was like kind of feeling sick, and I just told Brandon to rub my stomach because it feels good. Or it felt good when I was pregnant. So he was like rubbing my stomach, and I kind of didn't eat. He made tacos that night. I remember he made chicken tacos that night, but only like, I think only like one. And I was like, I'm sorry, babe, but this is like not going well with my stomach. So then I knocked out, and I felt bad because Brandon had made dinner, and I was like really tired, and I felt really like sick. And then I just told him like, hey, let's go upstairs and like just go to sleep because I don't feel good. So then we went to bed, and like around, I think it was like 2 in the morning, I woke up because I felt like super sick, and my stomach was hurting really bad. And I thought I needed to poop. So I went to the restroom, and I was literally sitting there. And then all of a sudden I was getting like freaking contractions, and I was like, holy shit, either I need to poop or I'm about to have this baby right now. But I was like, they've already sent me home twice from labor and delivery. I don't want to go back, and then they're gonna be like, oh, hey homegirl, this is like the 3rd day in a row you're here. And and I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna like wait it out. So then I was like, whatever. So I freaking was like peeing, and then I was walking to the bed, and then I would sit down, and then I would have a contraction, and I was like, ugh. And I was literally sitting there for like an hour. And actually it was almost 2 hours. So I was sitting there in the bed, and I felt so bad because I was like sitting there, and like I would get a contraction, and I'd be like I'd just be sitting there, and I'd be like, oh, like just go away. And I drank water, I laid on my side, and I was like, maybe they're Braxton Hicks, because they tell you like to drink water and like lay on your side, and that if it doesn't go away, then you're like having contractions. So then I was literally having contractions like 1 to 2 minutes apart, lasting a minute. So these are all my contractions that I was like timing. I literally timed so many. Okay, so I started counting them at like 2:12, and then I was like, I'm gonna wait it out as long as I can. And finally at 3:51, I woke up Brandon, and I was like, hey, like, we need to go. Oh, I gotta sneeze. So then I woke him up, and I was like, hey, we gotta go, like, I think we're having the baby now. So he got ready real fast. He went downstairs, he turned on the, like, he started the truck because it was really cold. And I was like getting ready, like I got my mascara and my eyelash color and my freaking I put some pants on because I was like, I'm not good. I wasn't naked, I was like wearing shorts to bed because I was like, I generated a lot of heat when I was pregnant, so I was like freaking dying every night. And then I went downstairs, and I was like, they're probably gonna send me home, so I'm not even gonna take anything. And well, we already had like all our luggages, and like Dominic's luggage was ready, and like everything was ready. The only thing I forgot at home was like the cameras and all that, and I was really freaking sad that I forgot my camera because I wanted to vlog like the whole day, or like that whole night that I was like in labor. He helped me get in the truck. Well, actually he came upstairs, he got me, he took me to the truck because I was like literally having contractions like on the way outside to the truck. So then we're leaving, and like we were both pretty quiet the whole way to the hospital. I guess we were both nervous, I don't know. I don't think he was trying to make me more nervous than I thought I was gonna be. So we were just like listening to the radio, and then like he was holding my hand, and I was like squeezing him like every time I have a contraction. And finally like we pull up to the gate, and the guard saw that I was like having contractions because I was like sitting like this in the freaking in the truck. They weren't that bad until I got to the hospital. They were like pretty tolerable, but I was like, ugh, like they're really uncomfortable. They just felt like really bad period cramps. So he's like, are you guys going to the hospital? And then my husband was like, my wife's in labor. And he let us go through right away. We didn't even have to show our IDs. And I told Brandon, I'm like, just drop me off at the emergency room, and I'm gonna walk my happy little pregnant ass up to the 4th floor and have this baby. So I'm like, go park while I'm walking, I'm sure you'll catch up to me. So he put his hazard, like we had our hazards on like when we were driving up to the gate, because apparently when you have your hazards on, like they know that like somebody's, I guess, hurt or pregnant or having a baby or something. So when we're pulling up to the hospital, this man like walked out, and he like kind of ran to our truck. And when I got down, he's like, did your water break? And I was like, no. I was like, but I'm having really bad contractions, so I'm gonna go to labor and delivery. He's like, okay, do you need a wheelchair? Like, do you need help or whatever? And I was like, no, like I'm good, like just let me walk over there by myself. And I was like, thank you though. He was really nice. Well, I walked into the emergency room and like the nurses just looked at me and I was like, and they're like, and I was like, they knew what I was talking about. So I started walking in and then I turned around and Brandon was like already next to me and I'm like, what the hell? We're like, that was hella fast. And like on the way up to like the 4th floor, I think I only had like 2 contractions and I was like waddling up there. So when I got to like the 4th floor, I literally walked there. I could have taken a wheelchair, but I was like, I'm stronger than that. I got to like labor and delivery. I like rang the little doorbell thingy and they looked at me and they're like, and I was like, hurry up and open this door because this baby's gonna come out of me. So then the lady that was there the day before was like, oh, you're back. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm like in labor now. And then she's like, all right, like how long have you been having contractions? And then I started having a contraction and then I showed Brandon my phone to like tell them how long. So he started like telling them like what was going on and like I couldn't really talk anymore because I was like, and I was pissed off and like I didn't want to talk to anybody besides Brandon. Like I just wanted Brandon there with me. So right away they like admitted us and they gave us a room. They started monitoring the baby right away and then they were like, we're gonna check you and we're gonna see how the baby's doing. So they checked me and then they were like, all right, you're 6 centimeters dilated. And I was like, what? And then they're like, you're being admitted. And I looked at Brandon and I was like, call my mom. And then so he called them and then I guess they got ready really fast. They started driving over here and then my mom called back, but I didn't know who it was who was calling. So then Brandon answered and he's like, yeah, you want to talk to her? And then like I looked at him and I was like I'm not gonna talk to anybody. Like I didn't want to talk to anybody. And then he's like, here, just take the phone. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, hello. And then my mom was like, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? And I was like, Mom, I'm fine. Like I didn't want to talk to anybody. And she knew when she got there to the hospital, she was like, girl, I know you don't want to talk to me, but I made you. And I was like, yeah, I know, you're my mom, you would have hit me. Just kidding. And then I wanted to get the epidural. Interrupted by my grandma. But anyways, yeah, so they asked me if I wanted the epidural. At first I didn't want it. Like I was gonna try like super hard not to get it, but I was like, fuck it, just drugs, give me the drugs. And then so yeah, I got the epidural. Well, it took a while. They started like taking blood out or like starting to like put the IV thing in. Like I was getting poked everywhere and then they had to get a room for me. Luckily like that night was like super empty. Like nobody was in labor apparently that night. So then they took me to the other room like where I was gonna deliver Dom and they kicked Brandon out and I was like, so then they kicked Brandon out and I was like, oh, they can't have him in there while you're getting an epidural. And he was in the waiting room for a while, but they were having trouble giving me the epidural because I had hiccups, first of all. And then I was having contractions and the dude was trying to time them to where like I didn't have both of them at the same time. So finally like my hiccups went away and like he's like, all right, you ready? And I was like, give me the drugs. Yeah, he was in the waiting room for like I don't even know, I wasn't like taking like times or whatever. And I guess when he was out there he was like working out. He was freaking lifting up the sofas that were in the waiting room because apparently he thought he needed to work out in. And apparently like when they called him to come back in, my parents didn't see him and he scared the shit out of them. So then they finally all came in and then I was like chilling there and I was like, oh my god, why was I gonna refuse the drugs? Like it was like the best. I was numb AF. And so yeah, we were just chilling there and then we got there around like 4. So then after all this had happened, it was like probably like 6 and we were just all chilling in there. And then I don't know what they were giving me, but I was drugged AF. And then finally, I guess it was like 9:45 when they started and the doctor came in, my midwife came in, and she's like, hey, we're gonna do some practice pushes. And I was like, okay, cool, like I can't feel nothing, but let's do this. So then she's like, okay, we're gonna do like 2 and then we're gonna practice your breathing. And I was like, okay, like 2 pushes, that's fine. So then it was like pushing, and then they're like, okay, good job, like, all right. And then all of a sudden she's like, 1 more push. And then I was like, what? And then they had like the NICU team on standby because I was kind of having a hard time on pushing Dom out. It's his hand. You wanna say hi? Yeah. So then they had the NICU team on standby because they were thinking that I was gonna have to end up getting a C-section because I couldn't push him out. Like, my mom was on one side and Brandon was on the other, and my mom was like, you better push it and like push him hard and push him out. And she's like, you got this. And she was like yelling at me, and then Brandon was like holding me, and I started pushing, and like I almost passed out because I was pushing so hard. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my god, he has so much hair. And like I look, and then they have my tiny little baby, my redhead. They had him right there. They gave him to me, they laid him on my chest. We got like some skin to skin. And I was actually scheduled for an induction on November 29th, but I was like, oh, I can't have him on the 29th. That's my sister's birthday. I was like, I want Dom to have his own birthday, and I want my sister to have their own birthday. So I was like, no. And the whole week I had been trying to like put myself into labor. I was like working out. Well, not working out. I was like walking around a lot. I drank like some pineapple juice because apparently that helps. I was like squatting, and I don't know, I did everything. But yeah, I ended up having him like on my own. And he was born November 28th at 10:10 a.m. He weighed 7 pounds 3 ounces and was exactly 20 inches long. Yeah. Now we have the cutest little baby ever. And he looks exactly like his dad. Almost 10 months of old. There's Bacon, and he looks like his dad. Thanks. Say hi. Say hi. No? You don't want to be seen? It's okay. You'll get used to it. So yeah, that's my birth story. We only stayed at the hospital for like 2 days, and then we were able to go home. And Brandon actually was able to get 21 days of leave, which is cool because they were only allowed to have 10 days of leave. And well, everybody in his unit was basically pregnant at the same time because there was like a baby boom in his company, and I was like part of it, and it's whatever. And they had all gone in like 21 days, so I was like, what the hell, like you better get 21 days of paternity leave. Why are you looking at me like that? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Are you mad? So then say hi. Say hi. My name's Dom. No? Okay. So yeah, he was able to get 21 days of leave, and then on top of that it was Thanksgiving leave, and then on top of that he got Christmas leave. And I was like, yes, bitch. And then, well, it kind of sucked because he didn't like gradually go into work. He just like went straight into work on January 3rd, which was our anniversary. And January 4th he left, or yeah, he's been gone. It's actually January 23rd today. So yeah, he's been gone for the whole month basically, and he should be back by the end of the month, but he's in NTC training right now, so that's why we're here chilling at my mom's. So yeah, let's end this little vlog. Okay, you don't want to be part of it? No? Okay. Alright, so that's the end of this vlog. I gotta go do my mommy duties. I'll be vlogging Brennan's return from NTC, from training. So there'll be a little vlog next week, hopefully. What's the matter? You don't want to lay down? Yeah, we'll be vlogging his returning home next weekend, or next week, hopefully. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Bye.